I found the first note tucked inside my coffee mug this morning, written in handwriting that looked exactly like mine, except I didn't write it. The note was simple, folded twice, the paper soft like it had been handled repeatedly. Happy 28th birthday, brother. Daniel. My hands trembled as I read it because Daniel has been dead for 28 years. He died 3 minutes after I was born, his lungs too weak, his heart too small. I know this because my mother told me the story every year on our birthday, tears streaming down her face as she lit a single candle for the son who never got to blow out his own. But before I tell you what happened next, comment what time you're watching this video. I live alone in the apartment my grandmother left me, a cramped 2-bedroom on the 3rd floor of a building that smells like old cigarettes and someone else's cooking. I've been here for 5 years, ever since Mom passed and left me with nothing but medical bills and a shoebox full of baby photos, half of them featuring a pale, still infant I'd never met but somehow resembled. My neighbors barely acknowledge me. The mailman knows my name but not my face. I work remotely as a data analyst, which means I can go days without speaking to another human being. So when I found that note, my first thought wasn't supernatural, it was practical. Someone was messing with me. Maybe the landlord had a spare key and a sick sense of humor. Maybe I'd written it myself during one of those late nights when grief hits like a freight train and I drink too much wine while staring at those baby photos. I convinced myself it was nothing. I threw the note away and went about my day, analyzing spreadsheets and pretending my heart wasn't hammering against my ribs every time I passed the kitchen. The second note appeared 3 days later, slipped under my apartment door while I was sleeping. You forgot to water Mom's plant. The one by the window. Daniel. I hadn't told anyone about that plant, a drooping peace lily that I'd brought from Mom's house after the funeral. It was dying slowly in the corner of my living room, and yes, I had been forgetting to water it. The handwriting was identical to the first note, that same careful cursive that looked like mine but with subtle differences I couldn't quite place. This time I didn't throw the note away. I kept it in my wallet, checking it obsessively throughout the day like a talisman or a threat. The notes came sporadically after that. Sometimes weekly, sometimes not for a month. They were always brief, always signed Daniel, and they always knew things they shouldn't know. You cried during that movie about the brothers last night? You still sleep on the left side of the bed. Remember when we used to kick each other in Mom's belly? That last one made me physically sick because Mom had told me that exact story, how she could feel us fighting even before we were born, how I was always the stronger one, pushing my brother into corners he couldn't escape. I started leaving work early to rush home and check for notes. I installed a security camera in my hallway, but it never caught anyone. I changed my locks twice. I even hired a private investigator who took my money and told me I was probably dealing with a stalker who had done their homework. But that didn't explain how they got into my apartment, how they knew about private conversations with my dead mother, how they replicated handwriting I'd never shared with anyone. 6 months into this, I did something I'd never done before. I wrote back. I left a note by my door before going to bed.